Well, thank you, Drew, for speaking with us at WOUB Public Media, the NPR and PBS affiliate in Ohio. We are excited to speak with you about a new horror film that you've executive produced, Bloodline Killer, and you also star in. And you're also the face of Marvel's Captain America in their upcoming cinematic video game, 1943, Rise of Hydra. And this is exciting because Ohio University, we have both a school of film and a school of theater. So for both your acting and producing, there's a lot to talk about.
Excellent. I love all of that. And
Yes,
and just wanted to say thank you so much for having me
of
on.
course.
It's an honor. You're awesome, and it's going to be a fun little day here.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And
Yeah.
and you have deep Ohio ties in your real life. So before we get into the art, I want to touch upon your Ohio heritage and your story in real life.
Yeah. Thanks for asking. And yes, I do. So my great grandfather, I guess 4 times removed. So great grandfather is Christian Moerlein of Christian Moerlein Brewery. In the 1890s, the largest exporter of German style beers. And obviously my family, like my specific part of our family is no longer involved in it, but the history of it lives on at the Moerlein Lager House, and the Cincinnati Reds serve it at their games. And
Wow.
just really an honor every time. So I have a buddy who lives out there, and on my bucket list is to go out, visit him, check out the Moerlein Lager House, and go to a Reds game. And every time he comes back to the East Coast, he's bringing a couple of 6 packs or 12 pack of Moerlein beer that we can share around everyone here. So
Nice.
yeah, and I we used to go out. The family had a farm out there. My great grandfather had a farm, so my grandfather was raised there, and they had a big farm out there that we'd go out for Thanksgivings. And I remember when I was a teen, one year I was on crutches one year,
Wow.
but I'd gotten very proficient on said crutches. And the vistas in Ohio, the vistas in this area of Cincinnati specifically, I don't have much exposure to Ohio, but the vistas here, the nature, the foliage was just exquisite. So highly recommend checking out Ohio, folks.
Yeah. Well, and so I was curious if that those memories in Ohio and your family's folklore in Ohio. I think that Christian Moerlein was also in the siege of Cincinnati during the Civil War. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. So
Yep.
has that influenced your acting or your producing or any of your creative projects in any way, even if it's just being in that nature that you speak of and things come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously I grew up very rural as well, upstate New York. My dad's from Alaska, so my grandfather relocated from Ohio to Alaska with his wife, my grandmother, and
Mm.
their 5 sons. And so nature's a massive part of my life. I spent just over a decade in New York City, and since my family I'm married with 2 girls, and we've since moved further and further out to sort of get more land and be more in touch with greenery. And we now live about an hour and change outside the city, and we have a couple acres. And it's so, yes, I would say, to loop back to your question, for sure, the energy of nature and the beauty of what comes with that has definitely influenced my life.
Yeah. Well, so Bloodline Killer, you're both
Yeah.
executive producer and actor in this
Yeah.
film. Um,
Yeah.
what is it like to juggle both positions? Because there's a lot of work involved in each, I would imagine, let alone simultaneously.
Yeah, for sure. Great question. And yes, accurate. So this one's a very interesting story. I feel like it's a good one to tell. I I'm sort of this insatiable workhorse who just is constantly getting scripts from people, from my network, from relationships, reading scripts, finding things that intrigue me. Excuse me, stories that intrigue me. And then the cherry on top is the role that intrigues me as well. So I got this script across my desk, and I said, Michael Cole, the role I play in Bloodline Killer. Michael Cole, I understand him. I understand how he ticks. I understand his inner conflict, his joy, his dreams, his goals. And I reached out to my friend who ended up being a lead producer on it. And I said, I I want to play this role. So we set up a Zoom. I met with the team, and we it just clicked. It was one of those moments where it just worked, and so I jumped on board of the project as an actor. And a few months later, as we got deeper and deeper into pre-production, the opportunity to come on board in a producing capacity was presented to me, and I took them up on it because I believed in the script. I believed in the genre and how this film is structured. It's got a very classic slasher thriller feel, but I think it's very unique and authentic in that there are three-dimensional characters and relationships that the audience can fall in love with and come on this journey, and knock on wood, can follow through many more movies in the future.
Yeah. So I'm going to get into your character and your co-stars in a moment, but on the producing note, because that is so, that noun is so broad in implications. Can you get a little specific about which aspects of production you were involved in with this film?
Yeah, for sure. So indie film, those who are listening who are in indie film and those who are not in indie film, here's what to learn. You do it all. On the producing side, with indie film, of course, there's delegating, but there's not studios and layers, and right. We are the people on all levels, on all tiers, who are doing it all. And so I was involved in the conversations about locations and when to shoot, what season to shoot in, how best to structure the contracts, and moving through all the aspects of that producing offers is essentially it. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up locations, because I had taken note of how you guys did not shoot this in Los Angeles. And every time I'm in LA, I'm reminded of why they shoot movies there, because the lighting, the bounty of different geologies, short distance, all that stuff is helpful. You guys landed upon Connecticut, and of course, 4 seasons go through Connecticut. And because, again, our film school is in Ohio, which also goes through 4 seasons, this is an important takeaway, I think, also for our film students. What were the factors that went into selecting Connecticut to shoot rather than somewhere, like LA? And when which season did you pick, and why?
Yeah, so great questions. So this movie was unique in many ways. The reason for Connecticut was the bulk of the creative team is based on the East Coast. There are deep-rooted relationships in the tri-state area. The tax credit in Connecticut is great. And the overall feel of the script felt Northeast, felt seasonal, felt like we wanted layers on, that there's a chill in the air. The film takes place right around Halloween, so in the fall, in October. And interestingly, we shot multiple times. So that was mostly schedule related. We shot out a couple of days in the fall. Then we shot some interiors a few months later in Los Angeles, in fact, with Bruce Dern and Taryn Manning and Shawnee Smith. And then the bulk of principal photography was in July of 23. So there, for the film students out there, there's always an adjustment to be made wardrobe wise when shooting in July for October, for a film set in October. So we had to be very cognizant of that. The costume designers were just incredible about managing all of those moving pieces. And of course, there's some movie magic that happens in post to make it look like fall. And there's also some movie magic that happens in camera setups to make it to specifically cut out foliage that would not necessarily be there in the fall, or blooms that would not be there in the fall. So these are these little continuity things that we often don't think of as viewers that must be digested, examined, and figured out by the production team.
That's so interesting. So thank you for hashing that out.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm presuming that you picked the summer because that's when the days are the longest, and so that natural light is most optimal.
That was a beautiful coincidence. Schedules. Honestly, most of Hollywood and filming comes down to schedules.
Wow. So
right?
It wasn't a lighting consideration. It was scheduled.
It was not. And also, so it was schedules and a massive impending strike that just sort of like determined the dates. And, we were fully ready to rock and roll. And everybody from, PA up to the executive producers, we were just ready to rock and embrace when we were shooting. And it magically worked out that we just got some beautiful stuff, and the stars aligned for us.
Wow, that's really beautiful that coincided with when you get the most natural lighting in a day.
It sure did. I mean, it wasn't the greatest. I thought
you were being sarcastic at first, but that
really no. I was being dead serious. Yeah, no.
Wow.
But no. I mean, it didn't coincide perfectly with like winter jackets,
right?
Because I'm a sweater.
Yeah.
And not like a sweater, like a sweater.
Yes.
So yeah.
Gosh. Well, and I definitely want to talk about the cast because you've got such a fascinating range of co-stars. You've got Shawnee Smith, who we all know from the Saw series. Tyrese, the R&B heavyweight, played Detective Cyphers.
Of course.
Bruce Dern, who I think is definitely a prominent alum of the new Hollywood era. I just spoke to Beau Bridges not long ago for WOUB, who his first movie was 1948. So we were talking about the golden age of Hollywood, and now Bruce Dern.
Yeah. And Neon Highway, right?
That's right. Yeah. I think we have a mutual friend in Rob Mays.
Yep.
Yeah, who's a fellow Cleveland native. So
yes, sir.
Into all that. And then there's also Taryn Manning, who many of us know from Orange is the New Black and Sons of Anarchy. So can you talk a little bit about working with each of those individuals? Because that's a pretty broad span. Shawnee, Tyrese, Bruce Dern, Taryn.
For sure. So Shawnee she happens to play my mother, and I could not be more honored to play her son. She is an absolute gem of a scene partner. Generous, exciting, dedicated, just a powerhouse of an actor. And she is definitely one of the reasons I wanted to sign on to this film. I have watched her for decades, and she just brings a raw, natural, very truthful and dedicated energy to her performances, and I appreciate that immensely. So yeah, she was awesome, and we collaborated. She's also a producer on it, so creatively and strategically we were collaborating, which was wonderful to do with her. And she actually lives in the town that I used to live in, so
Wow.
fun little connections. Taryn and I have known each other for a few years, and she just brings this again, this fierce authenticity to her work.
I would say fierce in this movie. Yeah.
For sure, for sure. And Tyrese, of course.
That was probably the biggest surprise for me. It's because I
Yeah,
associate him so much with music, you know.
of course. And I've me and my buddies are, we'll go watch all the Fast movies because they're fast and there are a lot of explosions and they're just super fun. But so I've seen his work, for years, of course. But he really is a pillar of experience and discipline, and he brings very grounded and confident energy, and simple in the most complimentary of ways, right? There's a simplicity to his execution of the scenes. Not that it's not layered and complex, but the ease with which he delivers it is just inspirational. So
Yeah. And then I think the last one is Bruce Dern.
Bruce, yeah, Bruce is, of course, as you said, he's iconic. He's a staple of this industry. He brings his own juice to everything that he does, and you say rolling, and Bruce goes, and pretty much you could probably take one, right? We'll do a few more for safety, but he's just there's such a natural ease and confidence in delivery from him.
Yeah. So the film is coming out April 26th, Friday, April 26th. And I was intrigued because you guys are doing a theatrical release and you're also doing a streaming release at the same time. And I know there's so much upheaval, from streaming wars and COVID-19 affecting the movie theater industry. So can you talk about why you decided to, because I guess, growing up in the 90s, I'm so used to, it went into theaters and then it went on video. And then you could watch it on cable and stuff. So you guys made the decision to still incorporate theaters. So why is it important for you to still incorporate theaters? And why did you decide to place on streaming simultaneously?
Yeah, I think the theory simplified is to give the viewers the viewing experience that they choose. I think we wanted to give everyone, it's a global release, and we wanted to give everyone the ability to watch this movie the day it releases in whatever format they desire. Where do I watch huge, awesome slashers? I go to the movie theater. That's where I watch them. Does that mean I don't watch them at home? No, I watch them in both places. I'll probably watch this one both places, obviously. But yeah, I think that's the whole theory behind it, is options and availability, and wanting to give the consumer the choice, because the fact of the matter is that not everyone will go to the movie theater.
Right.
So then
or they might not have one in proximity at this point.
For sure. That is absolutely true. Right. And so we want to give them that option and ability, and also not take away from what we are offering.
Yeah. And so last point on release, because this is an independent film and you are an executive producer, this, another, I think, question for our film students at
Right.
University School of Film. You landed upon Vertical Entertainment for distribution. Can you talk about how you came upon them and why you decided upon them? You know, sort of that process, because I think that's another angle that is daunting for a lot of prospective filmmakers.
For sure. I think the first order of operations is researching and exploring distributors' slates, right? Seeing what types of films they put out, how they put them out domestically, globally, in foreign markets, theatrically, VOD, straight to streamers, how they execute this, and what your goals as a creative team and production are. And finding a distributor that you are in alignment with, and seeing what their success is with films that may be in a similar lane. I think that, of course, you may not have the luxury of choosing between a bunch of different distributors, right? There may not be that interest. The market is saturated. But I think exploring and finding out, just like you would with colleges, just like you would with agents, just like you would with, anything that you're trying to decide which company to go with. You find your goals, your dream schools, your dream distributors. You build that list and your reasons why. And then you move down to safety schools or your safety distributors that you'll still, have a good opportunity of breaking even or making money with them distributing your product. And then you have your fallbacks. I mean, I think college is a great example, right? Fallbacks, safety schools, and your dream schools. So and then meeting and getting in touch with those distributors is generally relationship based. So we have folks on the team who have relationships with different distributors, and we have conversations, meetings, send them the screeners, and we build a relationship and try to find a distributor that's going to push this out and give the experience to as many eyeballs and people around the world as possible.
Awesome. So I do want to touch upon Captain America, which I know we can't talk plot or any of that.
Yeah.
So this is very surface level. I'm very intrigued by the realm of acting in a video game. A good friend of mine is Deborah Wilson, who was on Mad TV, original cast member, the longest of the original cast members.
Of course.
And she does so much acting in video games, and it's really opened up my eyes to that medium. And so I was wondering what you felt about acting in a video game. How does that differ? And then maybe surprising overlaps from the more traditional acting realms that you've participated in, because you've done stage, TV, and movies, and now a video game. A big budget one.
Absolutely. Yeah, of course. So my answer to this is twofold. First of all, there are different ways that certain video games are captured. There are video games where people are doing voice only. All but one, and this was years ago, of the video games that I have worked on are full performance capture. And the simplest way to explain this is that I do the exact same preparation. We do the exact same rehearsal style. We break down the script. We find the beats. We understand the character. We come in and we work with our scene partners, and then we get on set, and it's the same experience as television and film. The only difference is the environment. You're not in a typical environment. You're not wearing the outfit of the character. And there are a lot of technological differences. I'm probably not going to get too deep into any of that for fear of the snipers on the rooftop, but that's the only thing, right? And oftentimes people have asked, how do you imagine that world around you when it's not there? And I'm always like, in a sweet way, I'm always like, that's that's what we do all the time, right?
Yeah.
Unless you are in, a Western where you're literally riding a horse amidst the cattle in New Mexico, you're always imagining the set, the environment, the circumstances. You're always imagining the circumstances. Let's be honest, right? The circumstances are never real. We're playing make believe. So yeah, it's just a matter of, in our self tapes, our auditions, right? Our auditions were just in our clothing, just Drew's clothes. We walk in, we're in a studio, or we're in my home studio. So it's really just about building that around in your own imagination. But yes, it's the same exact process as film and television in my experience.
Mm-hmm.
I treat it the same way, and it's the same level and caliber for sure.
Yeah. Captain America was created in 1940 as an explicitly anti-Nazi figure, and you're portraying him in 1943. The title of your production is 1943 Rise of Hydra. What is important to you about Captain America's narrative at that point of history and portraying it today?
Oh, great question. I love this role. I think that I like to believe that I live my life striving for the same moral fiber and moral compass that Cap lives by. I think that his reason for being is to help good prevail over evil. As simple as that thought process, that theory is, I think he is, a beacon of light that is trying to, in every single moment, in every fight, before he throws every punch, it is to not have violence, but if he must, to defeat evil with that violence.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, sadly, I think based on the state of our world and our society, I think that sentiment of kindness and leading with goodness could not be more important today than it was then. To not get too deep into like the specifics of that, but look around us, right? All of the things around us, and the struggles and the conflict that we're looking at on a daily basis. Just spread a little kindness and lead with goodness, right?
Yes. Well, and my last question here, kind of, that the simultaneous or closely concurrent nature of those two projects. That one is a slasher film that you are acting in and executive producing. Another is a video game superhero, huge budget Marvel production, and there's a lot to unpack there as far as like how you juggle both, as far as fitting in both. One probably is I would imagine a little better paying. You don't have to get into the dollars and cents, but another, you have more autonomy as far as the creative direction too, as executive producer. Can you expound upon how you how did you make that concurrent, and what was important to you in juggling both projects? And
so yeah, I guess what's fascinating about being an actor, and specifically I love this, is that nothing is the same. There is no day that is the same for me ever, because I'm working a different job, or I'm working the same job, but it's different lines and it's in a different location, right? So nothing is the same with different people around. So there's a thrill to that. And interestingly, the creative stimulation and the creative permissions and ownership that I actually feel for both projects almost equally. And that's a testament to both teams. I think you could imagine that Skydance New Media and Marvel Games, I think you could imagine that there would be a plan for Drew, go execute this plan. That is not what it feels like at all. It is a very malleable and living experience being on set with this team. They are open to what I bring and what I feel and how Cap comes alive through me, and the journey of this game is just feels very I feel like they're giving us a lot of leash, if you will. That's probably not the greatest way to say it, but giving us a lot of room to play. Much more effective way to say it. But yes, I totally see that we do all the things that we do to work, to make money, to do these things, to do our passion projects, right? So I think what perhaps your question was leading to is that, yeah, I see a film like Bloodline Killer and I go, I'm gonna use my resources, I'm gonna use my abilities to make this happen.
As a producer, that that's, I guess what I was getting as, you're a producer on there as well.
Exactly, right? So that's why we do this, right? I tell people all the time, I'm like, you got to work, you got to make your money everywhere so you can do what you want to do, so you can create what you want to create, right? People say, I don't want to do these things, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, does it pay money? Let's do it. Let's do it, because then that gives me the ability to not potentially one day not have to work this job so I can audition for this, or not have to work this job and I want to create this film, this super low budget film, single location. Let's get some of our best friends and make a passion project. And I've got the ability to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to be booted off Zoom in 5 minutes. So I want to say goodbye. And before I do that, I just want to ask, for the students, again, we've got the School of Film on the production side. We've got the performance side as well. And because you're in both realms, what would you like to, what's something that you would like for each of those students of each of those fields to know, something that might not be as common knowledge, or maybe it's something that's emerged in light of all the, technological changes, recent strikes, whatever, when it comes to having a sustainable career in acting and forging a career in production.
Great. I love that. Thank you for that. So I have a few thoughts. So first of all, you've got a high-powered professional camera in your pocket. I know you do. If you're listening to this, you can't tell me you don't have it in your pocket. So you have the ability to learn what a shot looks like. You can watch a movie and you can say that's a cool shot, and you can figure out how to recreate that shot. You can learn how to interact with the camera, right? No matter how incredible of an actor you are, when you get on a set, there is a certain amount of experience and a certain amount of understanding where you are being captured from. And what those angles are, and what shot we're on. Are we on a mid? Are we on a tight? Are we on a wide? What is the coverage? So those are things that I think you can learn and then research for free at your house with your camera. You can buy super inexpensive LED lighting kits. If you're auditioning, I would highly recommend that you get a decent self-tape setup, and you can do that on a budget. That's just sort of standard now, right? So that's that. I would say, if we're going like acting, right? Like artist acting, train. Your craft is a muscle. It'll atrophy if you don't train it. Find and surround yourself with people who inspire you to dig deeper, who champion you to be yourself, right? That is key. You need to use your voice, right? You are the only one with your unique set of life experiences, and tell your story through your life lens. And then I guess transitioning, a really important one. I'm big on business and managing your money. This is a business. You are the CEO of your business. You are the CEO of your brand. Learn to make money and manage that money, right? So then again, this is looping back, then you can invest it into your career and do what you want, right? And that's one of the biggest things. You can be the most phenomenal artist, but how on earth can that sustain you in our current society, especially in the last 3 years with how much it costs to go to the grocery store, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, and do it all. That's another thing. I know we're very close to time, but be a Swiss Army knife in the entertainment industry. Do it all. That's what I do. I write weekly. I produce. I mean, I do every single type of acting, right? Because that gives me multiple revenue streams to then be able to invest back into what I am passionate about.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And your timing was impeccable, which I'm sure speaks to how you get these awesome roles, because you got the timing muscle flexed very
Excellent.
well.
I love it, Ian. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Drew, so much for speaking with us at WOUB Public Media. It's been a real pleasure. And we want to congratulate you on the upcoming release of Bloodline Killer, and congratulations on a very groundbreaking role for Captain America as well. So
thank you so much, Ian. I really appreciate you having me on, and this was just so much fun.
Oh,
So,
good.
everybody in
Well,
Ohio, have fun, and students, work hard.
All right. Before it cuts me off, I'll say sayonara.
All right. Bye. Thank you so
Take
much,
care.
Ian.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.